Hello everybody, my name is Cody bringing us yet another video, and in today's video, it's the second half of the Bard. So, today is Saturday still. I am actually recording this just a little bit after I had uploaded the Pokemon video, so it is now 6:45 for me, and this also means that Saturday has 3 uploads, as at around noon my time, the first half of the Bard went up, and then I was supposed to record right when I get home so I can upload this at more like a 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock time. But working a 10.5 hour shift kind of knocked me out right when I got home. So just as a quick little recap of what happened earlier today or yesterday when I actually made the video, I had ranked the first four of them: Creation, Glamour, Lore, and Swords. The ranking goes Lore right here, Glamour, Swords, and then at the current moment, Nice is where I'm putting College of Creation. There's nothing too bad about it, but it's not adding really enough to push it up enough. But I also would like to see what the other three classes provide to really give my opinion as to whether or not I'm going to keep it there at a C or if I want to bring it up to a B tier. And remember, there's nothing wrong with it being quote unquote C tier, because technically this is more of C tier, as like it's not saying that you're close to being bad, you're close to being good, but you're just not either of them, so you're right down the middle. So it's not technically a C, or it's like a really high C, low B, but it's right here. It can push up a little bit if I think it's good enough. Lore is, of course, it's an amazing subclass. Glamour kind of takes away some of the main like not the main functions, but gives you different uses for the main function of the bard with the bardic inspiration die, but it doesn't do it well, and it kind of hinders what you should be doing as a bard. And College of Swords just does not. You're not a bard if you're playing the college. If you're College of Swords, you're not being a bard. Just go and choose a different class. Like, go choose the paladin or the fighter if you want to do a College of Swords style playthrough. So, but yeah, so that's currently what it is, and we'll hop right in with the College of Valor Bard. So immediately at 3rd level, you'll gain some bonus proficiencies, which will be the medium armor, shields, and martial weapons. This is a similar thing to the College of Swords, but if I'm not mistaken, this came out before the College of Swords did. And you also gain with medium armor, and you get all martial weapons, so it's already a massive improvement, because swords, you could only use a scimitar, and medium armor, this one's giving you medium armor, martial weapons, and shields, so you can be a bit more of defense on you, and combat inspiration. You learn to, also at 3rd level, you learn to inspire others in battle. A creature that has a bardic inspiration die from you can roll that die and add the number rolled to a weapon damage roll it just made. Alternatively, when an attack roll is made against the target, it can use its reaction to roll the bardic inspiration die and add the number rolled to its AC against the attack after seeing the roll, but before knowing whether it hits or misses. So this is pretty cool. So you can basically do the normal thing, which is using it for the attack roll, like the actual D20 roll. So you roll your D20, and this is what you add it to, is right here. This is something that you can add it to the weapon damage roll, the actual damage die. So when you do hit, and you're rolling your D8, let's say, you then get to roll your D8, and instead of adding it to this, because this one hits already, you can add it to this. So that's pretty cool, so you can get a little bit of extra damage in if you would like. But also a pretty strong thing is that if you gave this to an ally who's right up in the front and the enemy hits them with a pretty high number, like they say, oh, does a, 24, well, I think you should probably know that you're going to have to roll for a 20 if they're doing a 24. Now you get to roll the D8 or the D6 that your bard gave you, so you can roll that, and now you subtract 5. Now at level 3, would somebody be hitting you for 24, potentially, and you subtracting 5 brings it down to a 19. Do you have a 20 AC? That's really cool if you do, and it is possible, because I think a fighter or a paladin wearing heavy armor with the defense, fighting style and a shield, I think that's 20 AC, maybe. But you can potentially block against that. But then this is basically just saying, hey, you can actually use it to protect yourself more. So instead of every single piece of your thing being for you, like the College of Swords is, this is just giving more uses for the inspiration dice, which is a plus. Because, like, yes, this one is giving you more uses of your bardic inspiration die, but that's giving you all for you. That's like stuff that I like giving it to yourself. This is, hey, I'm already going to be giving it to my allies. This is letting my allies have more choices. They think that, oh, if I rolled an extra d6 of damage right now, would that kill him? Or, oh no, that's a kind of high number. I'm going to be hit. I can lower it by I can like lower the chance I'm getting hit by increasing my AC. So yeah, it's actually pretty helpful. Level 6 is once again just extra attack, which this is making you a bit more of a melee class, but it's making you a bit better compared to what this one provides, because rather than... I wave my mouse over like you can see, but you can't, so I think I have to hold and show it. Unlike that one where everything is like for you, this is helping your allies out with your combat related things, and then you can attack like that, and you also gain a lot more stuff here because it's medium armor, and instead of just the scimitar, more martial weapons. So if you don't want to be running around with the scimitar, and I don't know if there's any ranged weapons that are under the martial weapon class, the martial weapon tree, but if there is ranged weapons like a heavy crossbow or something, and you want to use a heavy crossbow so you can keep at a distance, then here's this, and then you also gain shield to help provide yourself a bit more protection. And then at 14th level, you gain Battle Magic. You have mastered the art of weaving spellcasting and weapon use into a single harmonious act. When you use your action to cast a bard spell, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action. This is what College of Swords really needed. Because the whole thing with the bard, is that you're a spellcaster. So then basically you'd have to either choose to be casting a spell or choose to be making an attack action. Well, this is saying if you cast a spell, then you can still make the attack action with your weapon. So you can cast your spell on someone and then run up to them and hit them. Because if you're within 5 feet of an enemy and you cast a ranged attack, whether it's a bow and arrow or a spell, it's technically a disadvantage. So you'd want to use something from a distance, run up to them and hit them. Or, if you want to do something kind of cool, you can have your spell be the slow spell, which will then cause everybody to lower their, it's a couple of negatives, and I believe you get advantage because of it. Or you can cast Bless on the allies and then run up an attack. So this basically allows you to do the best of both things. You get to still cast your spells and still do everything that is the bard's whole shtick of spellcasting, and you still get to make an attack, which means that now, a lot of the times, you don't always have something to do with your bonus action. This will allow you to have something to do with your bonus action. So you can cast the spell, run up, and then hit them, which means that on on turn 1, you could potentially give yourself a melee weapon buff, or you can give yourself an overall buff. Like you can go, oh, what do I want to do at the start of battle? Oh, I cast Enlarge on myself, and then I run up and I hit the enemy with my sword, because you have the bonus action to be able to hit with your weapon. So you cast Enlarge, which will allow you to do more damage, and then you can use your melee weapon to be able to use that damage immediately. And then on the next turn, if you don't want to cast a spell, well, you're already up close and personal, so you can then make 2 attack actions, 2 attacks on the turn. So it's actually a pretty good balance of what a melee spellcaster should be, because like the thing with like the paladin and fighter subclasses like the Eldritch Knight or monk who has 4 elements and sun, soul, and shadow, is a lot of those are you do them as an action, which means that then you can't make your attack. Well, fighter gets like 3 attacks in a turn, but then if you use the spell, then you can't make any extra attacks because you're already chose your action for the turn to be a spell. What Valor is allowing you to do is use a spell and still be able to use the function of the of like what they want to do with the subclass of making melee attack. So it actually is just like a proper balance, something that the Swords Bard doesn't do, where it makes it to where, oh, use Bardic Inspiration for yourself. Use the Bardic Inspiration so you can do more damage, so you can push people back, so you increase AC. The Valor Bard says so that your allies can do more damage. So your allies can increase their AC so that if you're going to be melee, you can still be a spellcaster. Swords, who I'm just going to push around here, does not let you be both. Either on your turn you are a spellcaster, or on your turn you are uh, you're a melee combatant. It does not say that you get to be both. It is one or the other. So it definitely, because like it just increases in everything, as it allows, like, just the third level ability is something really good that, even not having like the melee related things, this still actually is really cool in the fact that you now get to uh, give your allies an ability to tank and survive more, because you get to higher levels and it's all of a sudden like, oh no, I'm being attacked by something. Well, let me roll my d12, and you add 4. I mean, you can add 12 to your AC, going from like, if you're like a squishy wizard who has like an AC of 12, let's say, well, you roll a d12 and you add 8 to it, then now you have an AC of 20, and then you're protected now because your AC is so high. So you get like added benefits from this bardic class because you're actually giving it to allies. The bard, as I said last video, they are the supporter. They are like, cleric is always told to be like the supporter, especially life where it's all about healing and stuff. They're a really good healer. Don't get me wrong, but druid can also heal. Where druid can heal, ranger can heal, bard can heal. Yes, cleric does it the best, but they also can do a little bit of buffing. Maybe they can debuff, but the bard can do whatever they want. They can buff, they can debuff, they can heal, they can damage, they can teleport, they can, recon. That's the whole point of the bard. So taking away some of those aspects from this guy, this one does it way better, and they added a new supportive ability in letting your team get more AC or more damage. That is a way better swords bard. So if you want to do a melee version of the bard, pick Valor. They're like a solid B tier. Maybe not as high as Creation, because Creation kind of gives a couple of other benefits to some things, like getting to deal like the mode of potential stuff that it does with its D20. And then this one, because it's 6th level, like if it had a second 6th level perk to it, it was like you got extra attack and there was something else, then I would probably rank a little bit higher. Like I'd probably put it in great right here. I'd probably put it up here, but because its 6th level ability is just the extra attack action, it's so-so. And then it's also a little more focusing on itself rather than its allies, which there's nothing wrong with focusing on yourself, but the bard should be focusing on everyone else rather than being like, me, 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 me. Other than when they're being the center of attention because their charisma is 2,000. So, but next up we'll look at the College of Whispers. Right off the bat, at 3rd level, you get Psychic Blades. When you join the College of Whispers at 3rd level, you gain the ability to make your weapon attacks magically toxic to a creature's mind. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can expend 1 use of your Bardic Inspiration to deal an extra 2d6 psychic damage to the target. You can do so only once per round on your turn. The psychic damage increases to 3d6 at 5, 5d6 at 10, and 8d6 at 15. Now, as I've said, I don't like Bardic Inspiration being used to be for yourself. Yeah, I kind of make an exception for this one, because imagine being, a 15th level bard and you go, oh, I make the attack action, I get to roll, a 2d6 with my weapon, oh, and also 8d6. Oh, wow, look at all those dice. Oh, wow, you just hit for 37 on one attack because of your Bardic Inspiration. It kind of has a similar feel to the Paladin's Smite ability, where, they have a very limited amount of spells, and they can use them to do other things, or they can just cast Smite to do extra damage. So maybe if, you aren't needing to give Bardic Inspiration all the time, you can just do an extra bit of damage to the enemy. So it's, I prefer, if this is something that you could do for your allies, like they could do half of everything. So like if you use your Bardic Inspiration, you get to deal 2d6 to the target at 3rd level. If an ally had it, they would do 1d6. They would do maybe 2d6, 3d6, 4d6. So like it's just like an extra kind of cool thing, just like an interesting like, oh yeah, I can do more damage, but I can also give my allies the ability to do the same. They just don't get to do it quite as strong because like rather than me focusing my effort directly into it, it's like, photosynthesis. Like, yeah, the plant gets a whole bunch of the energy, and then you lose 90% of the energy when the next creature eats it, and then you lose another 90% of the energy when the next creature eats it. So, if that was how this worked, is that, the bard gets 2d6, allies get 1d6, and then they basically just get 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they get to do a little bit of extra damage if they don't want to be using it as an actual bonus to their hit. If they just want to, I mean, technically, because it's the die roll, they could say, oh, I rolled a natural 20, which means that they get. I was rolling d8s for some reason, not d6s earlier. So, they get to go, oh, cool, I get 4d6 plus, the barbarian gets his 3d12. And then the barbarian on top of that will get another 3d12. And he gets another, 2d6 because of whatever. So you roll it, and then basically. Huh. There it is. So they basically get 54. I think there'd be one or two of those is not going to be. Two of those, or yeah, three of those wouldn't be doubled, which would be. I believe it'd be the 2, 6, and 1 there towards the end. They wouldn't be doubled. So it'd basically be 20, 12, like a whole massive thing. You basically have like 100 damage on the turn. So just like the extra bit, and then like the psychic damage, an unresisted move, like typing, is actually pretty cool. It's just be solely for the bard. And do bards naturally gain proficiency with weapons? Yeah, they get simple weapons. So, if you want to, you can have your, simple weapon. You can have your rapier as your thing, which is a D8, and then you get to add a bit of extra damage to it. But if you can give to allies, it would be better. But it already is pretty good, anyways. It would just be better if you had. It would just be better if you could give to allies instead. And also at 3rd level, you get Words of Terror. You learn to infuse innocent-seeming words with insidious magic that can inspire terror. If you speak to a humanoid alone for at least 1 minute, you can attempt to seed paranoia in his mind. At the end of the conversation, the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, or be frightened of you or another creature of your choice. The target is frightened in this way for an hour until it is attacked or damaged, or until it witnesses its allies being attacked or damaged. If they save against it, then they won't know that you try to frighten it, and this can only be used on a short, can be used once per short or long rest. So this is similar to, I believe it was the Glamour Bard who could do this, but they had to be doing a song, and they had to, everybody had to have been paying attention, and then they're charmed by you, which is kind of cool. This one is, you get to talk to one humanoid creature for 1 minute, which you can easily talk to somebody alone for 1 minute, because it's just saying you have to be talking to them alone. It is not, technically the phrasing is saying that if you speak to a humanoid alone for 1 minute, it, more up to your DM's discretion whether this is saying that you can either choose to mean that it is just a one-on-one conversation, like you're in a tavern and there are other people around. But if it is just you two talking, there isn't like another person near you talking with you guys. If it is just you two talking, you can do this. But another DM might say, no, it literally has to be like you pull this humanoid into an alley, and there's nobody else in the vicinity who could potentially, do anything like hear or talk with this either. So it can be kind of strong, the fact that you can kind of pull somebody aside and whisper to them while nobody else is talking with you guys. You can basically just whisper to them and basically cause them fear, which can then give you some pretty good stuff. And if you do this and then combat starts, you'll at least have advantage right off the bat. Plus, Frightened is a pretty good condition to put people in compared to Charmed, which Charmed and Frightened have their spots. The main thing is that this is an outside of combat thing, And I see this one happening more often. I see you being able to do this ability, Words of Terror, more often than the Glamour Bard's enthralling performance ability. Just because just talking to somebody for 1 minute is way easier than trying to create an entire performance that everybody has to be paying attention to the entire time. Because not everybody's going to be paying attention to you, speaking slam poetry. But somebody will be listening to you if you're trying to talk to them one on one, because, well, it's just going to be rude if you're just ignoring them. It's not going to be rude if you're not listening to the concert that you didn't attend. Like, if you're in the coffee shop and then some random guy goes up and says, "Oh, I'm going to start playing my guitar." Like, if you're not listening to him playing his guitar the entire time, that's nothing. You're not being rude. You're just not in the mood for listening to a guitar. But if somebody's like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" and then halfway through the conversation, you're just like, "Oh," and stop listening, well, no. So this one I can see happening more often. The downside is that it's only one person compared to enthralling performance is I think it's up to your charisma modifier. So you can get a couple of people uh, stuck in it. And then there's also wisdom, which wisdom is sometimes more often than charisma, depending. So it has its benefits, and the other one has its enthralling performance has its benefits. So, pick and choose. Next, at 6th level, you gain Mantle of Whispers. You gain the ability to adopt a humanoid's persona. When a humanoid dies within 30 feet of you, you can magically capture its shadow using your reaction. You retain this shadow until you use it or finish a long rest. You can use the shadow as an action. When you do so, it vanishes, magically transforming into a disguise that appears on you. You now look like the dead person, but healthy and alive. This disguise lasts for 1 hour until you end it as a bonus action. While you are in the disguise, you gain access to all information that the humanoid would freely share with a casual acquaintance. Such information includes general details on its background and personal life, but doesn't include secrets. The information is enough that you can pass yourself off as the person by drawing on its memories. Another creature can see through the disguise by succeeding on a Wisdom Insight check, contested by your Charisma Deception check. You gain a +5 bonus to your check. Once you capture a shadow with this feature, you can't capture another one with it until you finish a short or long rest. So this one, I've always seen, like, people who also kind of talk about the classes, that this one is kind of decisive. Because a lot of people are like, "Oh, why do you want to do this when you could?" Because, like, you have to have been around them when they died in order to use this, and they had to have also been within 30 feet of you when they died. And then, but you can basically just transform to look like them by using the Disguise Self spell. And then you technically could have been using, what is it, like read minds or detect thoughts on them to have been able to get their personal info. So you could have just, you can use this ability by just using 2 separate spell slots. But that's it. You have to be using 2 separate spell slots, and technically that also means that you would have actively had Disguise Self and Detect Thoughts, and you would have had Detect Thoughts going when you wanted to do this. But this also allows you to make sure that the person is dead, so they don't have any way to be like, "Oh, hold on a second, I just saw you a little bit ago. That's not what happened. You're lying," and then you lose the disguise thing. This is basically saying, just as an extra benefit to you, is basically, hey, we need info on something. If your team doesn't mind killing someone, like maybe, if you're trying to infiltrate the enemy base type of thing, and you find somebody that you could easily, real quick kill and try to get in while looking like them, well, instead of trying to detect thoughts, disguise self, and then keeping that person busy for a while, or just killing them, well, if you're going to kill them anyways, this will allow you to take their body and exactly know everything other than secrets and personal secret stuff, but you'll know, oh, now I know the plan, and I also know that some other miscellaneous things because you are that person, and then you can weave your way through stuff a bit easier using this. So it does have a really strong benefit, because if you're going to go in and be like, "Oh, we need to infiltrate something, there's a guard that we can real quick kill," we'll kill that guard, become that guard, know his memories, then you have an hour to do everything as that person. So it's pretty strong, and it's not like a creature automatically makes this check. It's not like, oh, the second you run into a creature, roll your deception check. It's if they start trying to see through your disguise, they'll make an insight check. You then get to make your deception check with a +5 to the check. You don't get a +5 to the check if you're just using disguise self and detect thoughts. You just get your normal stuff. With this ability, you're rolling deception plus proficiency +5. So proficiency, I think, is +3 at this point, and your charisma will probably be +5. So at minimum, you're getting +13. That's if you didn't choose this to be expert, which you could have, which means that's now a +16. So you are basically guaranteed to succeed at that point. So it is actually a pretty useful ability, and if you want to, you can grab it in the middle of combat, because let's say that if you had just killed like a boss or something, and you're within 30 feet, you take their shadow, and then you can basically turn into them and say, oh, all my minions, we have to retreat, we have to flee, and yeah, I don't think that there's going to be many people who can, beat your +16 roll. I mean, you roll your... I'm going to laugh when I roll my 1 like I always roll. Oh, you just roll a casual natural 20, so it doesn't even matter, but it's a +30, it's a 36 that you just rolled. Yeah, nobody's seeing through your lie. So everybody now believes you. All the minions run and flee from the area. Maybe you killed a corrupt king, so you can now tell all your corrupt officials to turn themselves in because you guys lost. So it is actually pretty cool and pretty strong. And as your capstone at 14th level, you gain Shadow Lore. You gain the ability to weave dark magic into your words and tap into a creature's deepest fears. As an action, you magically whisper a phrase that only one creature of your choice within 30 feet of you can hear. The target must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. It automatically succeeds if it doesn't share a language with you or if it can't hear you. On a successful saving throw, your whisper sounds like unintelligible mumbling and has no effect. On a failed saving throw, the target is charmed by you for the next 8 hours or until you or your allies attack it, damage it, or force it to make a saving throw. It interprets the whisper as a description of its most mortifying secret. You gain no knowledge of the secret, but the target is convinced you know it. The charmed creature obeys your commands for fear that you will reveal its secret. It won't risk its life for you or fight for you unless it already was inclined to do so. It grants you favors and gifts it would offer to a close friend. When the effect ends, the creature has no understanding of why it held you in such fear. You can't do so until a long rest. As a capstone ability, this one is alright, because if you're able to get this off on like a higher ranking thing, then this is extremely powerful. And this is also something that's usable during combat. Because this isn't one of those, oh, you have to take a minute doing it with somebody. You could technically be in the middle of combat, see an enemy and go, and then boom, they're under the thing. And then because they're friends with you, they won't attack for you, but you can tell them to run away or to try to convince their allies to stop doing stuff. So it is actually a pretty good thing. And it's also if your allies attack, damage it, or force you to make a saving throw. If you say, hey, go do this, then if an enemy attacks it, or if an enemy makes it, causes a saving throw against it, it does not snap out of its charm condition. Because it is only if you or your allies attack, damage, or make it force it to make a saving throw. So that is way stronger than normal charm, which is just if it is attacked, it is damage, or it is a saving throw. This is only you and your allies doing it, which is pretty good. Of course, as capstones go, could they have done something else? Yes. Should they have done maybe some more stuff related to the psychic stuff that you had gotten earlier on, like right off the bat, with the psychic blades or whatever it was called? Yeah, they probably could have done a little bit more with that rather than everything being with fear. But I understand why they chose everything to be kind of based with fear and with death. Although, could they have done a bit more with, other things rather than just the charmed and friend conditions, how it's doing it this way? Yeah, it could have been better, but all in all, it actually isn't bad. It's better than the glamour just because the perks that it's getting are easier to use compared to the glamour bard, but it isn't quite the same range as the valor and the creation bard. So, if you're in a campaign where you're gonna be able to use all of these abilities somewhat often, then I would definitely choose this one. But if you're not going to be able to too often need to or really want to do this, then maybe choose something else or just choose spells that can simulate these types of things. And lastly, we have, which is just a Magic the Gathering content type of thing, but this is something that a lot of people will just naturally say is a part of it, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually one of the, come on, this is one of the things that is actually like naturally selected. I believe that normally when you start, this is what it looks like. Normally, Magic the Gathering is something that is automatically selected, so it is already something that people will choose from. And this is, just as a quick little show, this is what I choose for what will pop up later on. So if there is stuff that is currently under the playtest or currently that is Rick and Morty content, they don't pop up for me because when I'm playing and I'm DMing and doing stuff, I don't play with Rick and Morty and I don't play with playtest content. I don't play with Rick and Morty stuff just because I haven't tried it. I should, so I can see if there is stuff that I want to play with. So maybe later on I'll showcase some Rick and Morty exclusive stuff. But then playtest, I don't choose this one because playtest is not yet it's not fine-tuned yet, and it's not like balanced to a proper point to where I would say, oh yeah, that's viable, because there's still tweaks and balances that they should be making before it actually is viable and like it makes sense to do. I have homebrew on. I don't have any homebrew class stuff yet. I do have some race stuff and some spells. Critical Role content because I mean Critical Role has shaped some D&D stuff so much that it only makes sense to have them on there. And non-core D&D content just because there is some miscellaneous things. I don't think there's any subclass related things. I think it's just a couple of feats and maybe spells, but I like to have it on. So lastly, we'll go over the College of Eloquence Bard, which is gained in Magic the Gathering. Right off the bat, you get Silver Tongue. You are a master of saying the right thing at the right time. When you make a charisma check, persuasion, or deception, you can treat a d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. So that's just saying that anytime that you do persuasion or deception, no matter what, it's a minimum of 10. So you're only rolling a d20 to see if it's higher than 10, which is similar to the rogue's, I think it's like 11th level ability, either 10th or 11th. I think it's 11th level ability called Reliable Talent, I think is what it's called, which basically says that anything that you were trained in, whenever you make a roll for anything that you were trained in, you treat the roll as 10 or higher if you roll as a 9. This is just for Charisma and Persuasion, but this is for Charisma and Persuasion, it says. This is for Persuasion and Deception, which, knowing that your whole thing as a bard will be that you want to be doing charisma stuff of persuading and deceiving people, make sure that's always a 10, which right off the bat you'll have 4 charisma, 2 proficiency bonus for both of these, let's say. It'll always be a +6, which means that you have a minimum of 16, a maximum of 26. So just the fact that you get a minimum roll now, you can no longer fail these pretty much because you're rolling a 16 every time. And later on, I mean, if these are your expertise also, they're even higher. So like at the end, if they're your expertise, that's a +12 solely from your proficiency bonus. Like at minimum, you guys are rolling a +17 to a 10. So you're automatically just rolling a 17 at minimum. You're not going to be failing Persuasion and Deception. Extremely powerful. You also get Unsettling Words. You can spin words which laced with magic that unsettle a creature and cause it to doubt itself. As a bonus action, you can expend one use of your Bardic Inspiration and choose one creature you can see within 60 feet of you. Roll the Bardic Inspiration die. The creature must subtract that number rolled from the next saving throw it makes before the start of your next turn. So you can basically just use your Bardic Inspiration die to say, hey, you suck, and then boom, your wizard can cast Fireball, and Now they're subtracting 4 from their saving throw, which means that they fail now. So it is actually a pretty decent use, because along with the Bardic Inspiration, they're used to either buff your allies or debuff the enemies. This is debuffing an enemy. So it's pretty good, because you can either use the bonus action to make it to where your next attack hits them easier, your next saving throw spell hits them easier, or for your other spellcasters to hit them a little bit easier. So it actually is pretty strong and actually kind of cool. Next up, at 6th level, you gain Unfailing Inspiration. Your inspiring words are so persuasive that others feel driven to succeed. When a creature adds one of your Bardic Inspiration dice to its ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, and the roll fails, the creature can keep the Bardic Inspiration die. That alone makes this the best subclass. Because not only can you, you're giving your allies their Bardic Inspiration die, but if they roll it and it goes, oh, I rolled a 14, oh, I rolled a 1, so now it's a 15, and it still doesn't hit or save, well, now they don't lose it. So now, naturally you only get, so many Bardic Inspiration dice. This gives you, essentially, more Bardic Inspiration die, because instead of it immediately going away when they fail on it, they can just keep using it and using it and using it and using it and using it until they succeed. So that technically means that they make the attack roll, use the Bardic Inspiration die, it doesn't work. Make the attack roll again, use the same Inspiration die to attempt it again. Oh, now it succeeds. That is incredible. So they can just keep using the same die until it succeeds. Then it goes away. Incredible. Also, one of the few subclasses that gain 2 6th level abilities, you also get Universal Speech. You have gained the ability to make your speech intelligible to any creature. As an action, choose one or more creatures within 60 feet of you up to a number equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of 1. The chosen creatures can magically understand you regardless of your language you speak. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish your long rest, unless you expend a spell slot to use it again. And because it's not saying that it has to be a specific spell slot or higher, you can just use a level 1 spell slot to do this. But this is basically just casting tongues on other people so that they can understand you. Or I guess it's tongues on yourself, because they're understanding you, not being able to speak the language. So you're basically, for free, getting to cast tongues so that other creatures can understand you. And this also is saying any creature, which technically means that you can use this on non-humanoids. So you can do this, and it's basically, not only are you casting tongues so that you can speak, Elven to people, or people who only speak Elven will understand you. People who only speak, Draconic, if you're speaking to, Kobold type of things. But this is also saying that a creature will understand you. So if you're going to talk to that horse is going to understand you. That dog is going to understand you. That werebearer you're talking to is going to understand you, because because they're just creatures. So if you need to be talking, which you're already going to be talking to people because that's your shtick as the bard, especially the eloquence bard, now anything can understand you if you use this, which can basically just be used as a first level spell slot if you need to use it after you've already used it that day. That's pretty good. It's pretty strong. And lastly, as your capstone ability, you get Infectious Inspiration. When you successfully inspire someone, the power of your eloquence can now spread to someone else. When a creature within 60 feet of you adds one of your Bardic Inspiration dice to its ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, and the roll succeeds, you can use your reaction to encourage a different creature other than yourself that you can hear within 60 feet of you, giving it a Bardic Inspiration die without expending any of your Bardic Inspiration uses. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of once, and regain all on a long rest. So not only does this saying that when your allies fail on the inspiration that they get to use it again, but this is saying that when they succeed, if you still have your reaction, you can take that die and give it to somebody else. So this is saying that at 14th level, I believe you're still you're a D12 if I'm not mistaken at 14th level now. This is saying that, little Jimmy, he's over here ruling like this. Well, yeah, a 22 hits. I mean, it would be higher because you're adding proficiency and strength or dex, of course. and if anything else. But this is saying, oh hey, you can now move this Bardic Inspiration die, so if they fail, well, they get to use it again until they succeed. Oh, they succeeded with it? Well, instead of it being expended, as long as you have a reaction and you still have the ability to use this because you haven't used it all of the times you have in the day, you can give it to another ally so that they then get inspiration. And it's not like, oh, as a reaction, you can use it, you can give a Bardic Inspiration die to an ally. No, this is giving that Bardic Inspiration die to another ally, because you're not expending another use of Bardic Inspiration, you're just using that inspiration to another person. So you're basically able to use one Bardic Inspiration, in theory, you can use one Bardic Inspiration die to inspire minimum, like a total of 6 people with one inspiration die, because you can use it charisma modifier, which is 5 at this point. So as long as you have your reaction each time, you can basically just be throwing this around with one singular die. So then you can go, oh, look at that, the bard's used them all. No, he's used one. Now you can just start giving it to more people. You can give them, the rest of your inspiration die, which I think you have. I don't know how many you have off the top of my head. I'd have to look, but you'd have a fairly decent amount. I don't know if it just says how much you change. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. So you'd have 5 inspiration die at that point, maybe 6 if you have it by magical means you increased. That means that you can give one ally, that you basically can give one ally the die. You can then switch it around 5 times with 5 separate reactions, if you're not doing other things with your reaction, which you could be like counterspell and stuff. Then you can use another board of inspiration die. So you essentially have 11 uses or 12 uses of bardic inspiration as you're casting it and then you're moving it around as a reaction. That makes this head and above. I would put it above lore. Lore would go here, and right where the faded out bard lore is that's where eloquence would go. It is by far the best one. And I would honestly say that valor would go a little bit higher, just because of some of the kind of like the neat little abilities that it has. So this is what the tree looks like. It is lore, valor, creation, whisper, glamour, swords, eloquence is also up here, which means that this is exactly what a bard should be. As you can see, the artificer doubles up here and has something here, but nothing really down here. The barbarian is up here, and then down here. As you can see, the bard is in, you can't see here, can't see in nice, but as you can see, there's 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. The bard is the jack of all trades, master of none. They have 1 in every single category, other than don't know enough, of course, but they have 1 in every single category with only 1 double up, because they are not going to be all super spectacular or all, couple of mid-tier, couple of good. No, they are some extremely good, some really good, some pretty good, some not so good, some terrible. Because that is what they are. Jack of all trades, master of none. As their second level ability states, jack of all trades. So, yeah, that is my ranking. Eloquence, lore, and legendary, valor and great, creation, if there was a card, here in nice, whispers and neutral, glamour and not nice, swords and trash. And no, I didn't just move valor up to great because I wanted to be able to be like, oh guys, look, I think because they have 1 in each, it's jack of all trades. No, I generally do think I would have either moved valor or creation up to great. I choose valor just because its ability to help your teammates deal a bit more damage and gain AC, and then their capstone ability to also be able to cast a spell and make a melee attack in the same turn. It's pretty cool. And in theory, you could also make 2 attack actions and then as a bonus action cast a spell, as long as the spell can be used as a bonus action. So there's still, both sides of the coin. You can either do 2 attacks and 1 small spell, or 1 big one big spell and 1 attack. So it's pretty balanced for what it's trying to be, and it's actually pretty cool and a pretty unique idea, and the fact that you can use any weapon now, and not just simple or the scimitar, and you also get shields and medium armor, so you can be defensive and offensive. It's actually really effective, and if you want to play a melee-oriented bard, the Valor Bard actually is not a bad choice. So, that is my rankings. If you guys agree with them, then let me know. If you guys disagree, then show me what your list would have been. I'll try to put the link. I think the link might be in the very first video that I did, so you can look there. If not, then you might be able to find this on Tier Maker. It shouldn't be too hard. I didn't have too much trouble. I think I just looked up D&D 5e subclasses, and this popped up. So you might be able to find it doing that too. So if you want to make your own tier list of all of them, you do that. And remember, I'm not ranking all of these against each other. I'm not ranking these against each other. I'm ranking this against this, not this against this. So remember that. But that'll do it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, then consider hitting the like button and commenting down below what you guys did enjoy so I can continue doing it to continue making the videos as well as I have been. And also comment down below what your tier list is like. If you guys didn't like the video, then go ahead and dislike the video and tell me in the comments below what you guys didn't like so I can improve upon it to make the videos better. If you guys want to know when I upload, then the best way to know is by subscribing. But that does it for this video. Until next time, bye guys.